Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 166. I'm your host, Richard Bailey Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
Hey, what's up? Good to be back with the podcast. Last week we did a quarterly report, so we skipped a week, but at least there was a show of sorts. But yeah, good to be back with the co-op, so we can get to some of these discussions that have been plaguing the industry.
Absolutely. We're also joined by Mr. Jake James Lugo. How's it going, Mr. Lugo?
I'm doing good, Rich. Crazy week. Incoming week is also going to be crazy. A lot of stuff happens, so I'm ready to dive into all of it.
Awesome. And today we have a special guest. We now have a new person on the team. His name is Mr. Max Muller. How's it going, Max?
It's going pretty good, guys. Excited to be here. Excited to talk about these topics. These are topics I'm very interested in, and excited to argue them with you guys and discuss them.
Uh-oh. Well, he said
Welcome,
argue.
Max.
Oh, he said argue. That's what I like to do.
Uh-oh. It's going to be very interesting. Well, yes. So we do have quite a bit of topics to talk about this week. Some people are on a little bit of a limited schedule, so we definitely want to talk about what we have been playing. So I'm going to let our newest addition to the team, Max, why don't you let us know what you've been playing first?
All right, well, with the recent drop of Firefight and Halo 5 Guardians, I have been playing a shit ton of that the past few days, and then one of my buddies just got an Xbox, so now I've been playing through the campaign with him. So Halo has taken up my life again. If you didn't know, Halo has been my biggest obsession since Halo 3. So getting back into it feels great. I've been playing Pokemon Go quite a bit since it released here in the States. And then I've been trying to get back into Overwatch since the ranked play dropped. I played a few games of that last night, and we'll plan on playing that again later today.
Oh, I'm a big Overwatch player. What do you think of the competitive mode so far?
I haven't been able to get into it yet because I'm not level 25, I believe you need to be.
Yeah,
Right?
25.
Yeah, I'm not level 25 yet. I'm
Are
only
you
20.
playing on PSN or PC?
I'm on Xbox, actually.
Oh, you're on Xbox. Okay.
Yeah. But no, I'm excited to play the competitive mode with that. I haven't read into it at all either because I want to go in kind of blind. I know they're like getting rid of sudden death soon, which is kind of weird. For Season 2, I know they're getting rid of that, but no, it seems cool. I'm excited. And that's pretty much what I've been playing so far. Most of my time has been with Halo.
Awesome. Sounds good. I got to get back into Fire. I got to get back into Halo, actually, because I haven't played since the update, so I got to check that out.
It's cool. It's cool.
Cool. All right, Mr. Lugo, what have you been playing?
So, again, as always, I've been a little bit busy playing a variety of different games. The two biggest ones I want to put out there, like Max said before, I've also been playing Pokemon Go since it just dropped not too long ago. I haven't played as much as like a lot of other people out there, where everybody that's been playing the game, everybody's been playing it practically nonstop at this point, which, ever since like they're able to log in. I know it had server issues with some people logging in, especially that release night or release day, if you want to call it. Had to deal with the login via Google or via the trainer accounts and stuff. But once you got in there, it's pretty interesting and whatnot. But we'll talk about that more in a little bit. The other game I want to highlight that I'm actually doing a review for the site tomorrow is, God Eater Resurrection. Now, if you guys don't remember, I saw this back a couple months ago when I went to go visit Bandai Namco, and I was able to see that there and also see God Eater 2, Burst. So God Eater Resurrection is the original God Eater that was on PSP, but it's put onto the PlayStation 4, basically. Same game, same essentially, same kind of like tropes or whatnot that you found in that release. But this one's for the PlayStation 4. Looks a little bit much more shinier, a little bit more crisper, has a better control scheme with the DualShock rather than the PSP itself, because you're able to control the camera with the second analog stick. Pretty interesting, but I'll have more to say about that tomorrow. So those are the two games I've been really kind of playing mostly.
Sounds awesome. I look forward to hearing more about God Eater, and I will be checking out that review because I'm trying to think positive about some of the games that these developers make. So we'll see how that goes. All right. How about you, Gary? What have you been playing?
I've been playing Uncharted, which I finally beat that game. I mean, it wasn't the ending wasn't as eventful as I expected. Like I thought there was gonna be some like major stuff going down at the end, but it kind of didn't deliver on that. It was a very straightforward ending. Um, Overall, I think there's some really excellent set piece moments in that game. I really like the action aspect of it, the shooting mechanics and everything. Like those are really fun to play. But ultimately, the story is, the biggest thing that's lacking with the game. It kind of contradicts a lot of the previous Uncharted games, in my opinion. So I wasn't, a huge fan of the story itself overall, especially with Sam, the new character. I feel like his role in the story is like is pointless. Like, especially to introduce him in this game was a little, it just doesn't fit with what's happened previously in Uncharted. But ultimately, solid game. I enjoyed it. I've also been playing Star Ocean, which I'm actually reviewing at the moment. It's a JRPG. It's a typical JRPG. It's a lot of what I expected it to be, but it is also kind of bare bones when you compare it to something like Final Fantasy or one of the bigger scale RPGs on offer. But I still consider myself to be early, and the journey hasn't fully started yet, so I can't be too judgmental just yet. But definitely look out for a review on that in the future. And besides that, I've also been playing Overwatch. I did play one competitive match and in which I won, and it was very fun to play that. But I've since then I've kind of just been sticking to the normal matchmaking, so the quick match basically, because I feel like the like with the competitive mode, the community has kind of changed a little bit. It's kind of shifted, and people are just like they're a lot more aggressive, and they're, to put it frankly, like they're assholes. Like they complain if the team isn't doing well, and if you lose, they take it out on you. I just don't want to deal with all that. Like I play Overwatch for fun. I don't particularly take it that seriously, so I just want to continue with that fun element of just you know playing it to enjoy myself. Pretty much, I don't really want to. Plus, I don't consider myself to be among the elite players or anything, so I have no reason to really delve into the competitive mode that much. Like I don't consider myself a tournament player per se. I just play the game for fun because I enjoy it. So I'm sticking to the quick match options pretty much. But I'm still really enjoying the game. I love it, and I'm hearing about a new character that they're adding as well. That's a sniper and a support class. So I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to more characters being added and stuff. That should make things interesting. Besides that, that's it. That's all I've been playing.
Okay, so before I talk about the games that I've been playing, I have to ask you a question, Gary.
Uh-huh.
Why have you not stopped playing Overwatch and played Evolve, since that is now free to play? And this is apparently, it has a whole bunch of people that have jumped on it now. So why are you not playing Evolve?
I mean, Evolve never really appealed to me. I know why you're asking the question as well, because they're both online only games. There doesn't seem to be that much content, but I at least find the content that is in Overwatch interesting, and the actual gameplay dynamics in Overwatch are interesting. Like it's really fun, even though it's very simple. The concept is it's very very simple. It's just the whole team element and the heroes themselves, the character designs, everything just makes it attractive to play, and I just love it. But Evolve just never appealed to me in that way at all. I think I played the beta once, and that was enough for me. Like I felt like I've seen what it has to offer at that point. Like I didn't enjoy it that much. So yeah, I mean, but it's good that it's free to play now, because maybe more people might get into it, and they might see more value in it now that it's actually free to play and you don't actually have to buy it.
Well, we'll see about that.
We'll see if they stick around.
Yeah, exactly. If they stick around.
There's another game that I think should go free to play though.
What's that?
What's that?
Battleborn.
Oh, God.
Well, hey, we'll see what happens. It's a possibility. Um, but yeah, okay. So what I've been playing, of course, I went back because I wanted to play some more of Inside. Um, I said before on the last show that definitely is one of the best puzzle platformers of the year. So far, I have to stand by that because it has a secret ending. That if you get that secret ending, oh yeah, it's really trippy. But the game itself is, as I said before, I definitely recommend this as a game that everybody should play, whether you have an Xbox or a PC. It's definitely worth playing. Go into the game blind. Do not do any research on what the story is, none of that, and you will be very surprised when you see what it actually is. Um, Also, I just this morning completed the Street Fighter V story mode, and I would just like to say right now that listen, I was pretty surprised with how the story mode turned out. Um, as far as the story narratives go, I know that they took all of their cues from what they did with the Mortal Kombat series, how you're able to play as different characters. Um, but I definitely like what Capcom did with the story overall. It's still silly in some areas. There's some questions that you'll definitely ask yourself, but overall, this is what should have launched when the original Street Fighter game launched months ago. So I'm not happy about that part, but I'm glad that it is here now. I'll have more to say about this soon, so stay tuned for my thoughts on that particular story mode on the website. But that's pretty much it for what we've been playing this week. We're going to jump right into the topics because there's quite a bit to talk about. So first and foremost, in the interest of time, Pokemon Go. Of course, I know that this came out recently, and now it has become somewhat of a phenomenon. So I definitely would like. I know that there are a few of us here that have played it, so I definitely would like you guys to tell us what you think of Pokemon Go. In addition to some of the crazy stories that you've heard. But first, let's talk about what you guys think about it. So, JJ, you have something to say about Pokemon Go?
Oh,
It's a
JJ.
it's a microphone issue.
Technical difficulties, people.
That's okay. Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah. For whatever reason, microphone just went.
Uh-oh. Just went what?
Oh shit! I hope it's not his connection.
Well, there was a connection issue with the last show with Throwdown as well. But
Hear me now? Is
we
it?
hear
There
you
you
now.
go.
Yeah,
There you
we
go.
got you. We got you now.
What about now? What about now?
We got you. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason my microphone just went dead on me. I don't know why. It just ran. Anyway, like I was trying to say before, basically Pokemon Go is addicting for a lot of people. I think that it has a lot of what is it? I guess you could say popularity, or at least it's gotten a boom as far as like the usage of it, because obviously the Pokemon name, and also this is like the first real mobile app besides Miitomo that people are going to actively, or at least it seems to be like they're going to actively use for a long time, ever since Nintendo was trying to like dip their feet into the whole mobile market type of deal, dealing with stuff like DNA or whatnot. This app I think is done by a company called Niantic, if I'm pronouncing it right, Niantic Inc., something of the sort. They've done games like kind of similar in the past or whatnot, not anything like to this type of degree. From what I've seen, between having used the actual app myself and seeing other people use it, it's really dependent on your GPS signal, and it eats up your battery like crazy. Understandably so, because between the app running and also the GPS constantly running in order to allow yourself to go from place to place to catch the different Pokemon, that seems like it would do a huge number on your battery overall. Besides that, though, one of the things I could say that I kind of dislike about Pokemon Go is because it's so dependent on the GPS signal. Like, it doesn't use Wi-Fi or anything of the sort. Like, again, when you're in buildings and stuff, not only to kind of preserve the battery, but also, like, sometimes it kind of, needs you to actually go into some buildings in order to catch some of the Pokemon. Now, you could use, you could just like tap your screen, where if they're within a certain radius or whatnot, you could actually just catch them like that. I know there's been stories posted online of people trying to go to like the police station or go to like a church or some like random abandoned building. There was even a story where a girl found a body in a river or in a ditch or something from
Yeah,
playing Pokemon Go on accident. Like there's been some crazy stories about this. But overall, I think the app itself is pretty interesting. It's only with the first 150 Pokemon, which I think at the total count now there's some missing. It's about 146 to be exact. I know they're gonna have like big events where apparently like multiple trainers could like work together to catch a specific Pokemon, kind of like what they did in the marketing for Mewtwo, where it was like in the middle of Times Square and everybody's trying to catch Mewtwo and such. I'll be interested to see like how they're actually going to implement some of the other generations of Pokemon. I think in future updates you could start adding the Pokemon from Gold and Silver, Diamond and Pearl, etc. down the line. I would not be surprised if they try to implement anything from Pokemon Sun and Moon as like their next big update, like as far as like the different Pokemon designs, and kind of go out of order like that. The other thing that I'm also curious about, which kind of, it's kind of hit or miss right now, is the gym battles, or like, the different types of like trainer battles, quote unquote. You can only really do battles or trade whenever you hit, I think it's like a Pokemon stop or like a gym itself. The most ideal way for this kind of app to evolve is to make it so that way you could battle trainers wherever you are. So like if you're within a vicinity of someone, as you're using the app and you see another person using that, have a battle with them right then and there. I think that could be like the next step. Maybe there's a couple technical reasons why that isn't the case at the start, but I could definitely foresee that being like where they go next with it, as well as also the other Pokemon updates and such. I wish also maybe there was some other things you could do with your Pokemon, like, to make your stuff a little bit more unique. Again, with not only the customization options for your trainer, but also like what you type of like, your favorite Pokemon, how you can display it and stuff, similar to the games that are on 3DS now. But again, that's wishful thinking. That could possibly be something down the line or whatnot. But Max, I'm curious, what did you think about Pokemon Go so far?
Okay, so most of what you said I agree with. I think that the app is solid so far. It has a solid foundation. There's a whole lot that needs to be built on right now. Like, for example, player interaction. There's almost no player interaction aside from the gyms, which, I don't know. I get to the gym. I was able to try out a gym for the first time yesterday. And in the city of Chicago, where I am, they have them all over, like at all of our train stops and everything. So there's a whole bunch of people that get to use the gyms because everyone uses the CTA at some point in the train stops. And how the gyms work is every time someone wins, they get to stay there and defend it. So I have to fight through all these people just to like try and stay at the gym, and I don't have the time to do that anymore. Like I'm waiting for my train, so I have to wait and like miss trains to try and fight everyone to try and get myself to hold the gym so I can win Poke Coins. And the thing is, the fighting to me in Pokemon Go it's so stripped down. Like all you do is you just swipe so that your Pokemon can attack, and then you try and dodge attacks by moving to the left or right. And that's literally it. And to me, it just kind of ruins a lot of what I loved Pokemon for, which is fighting my Pokemon with other Pokemon. Let's see. I like going around and catching Pokemon with the Pokeballs. I think that's cool. I think it leaves a lot to be desired, though. Like, for example, what you do is to catch a Pokemon, you'll see them there, you'll hold on the Pokeball, and then a circle will get smaller and then bigger. It'll grow and then shrink on the Pokemon, and you have to try and throw the ball when the circle is as small as can be to like land the best chance of a catch. And it's cool, but if you don't have any higher Pokeballs, there's like no chance you're going to catch a Pokemon because you're not doing anything like in a normal game, like lowering its health or trying to put it to sleep or paralyze it. So, for example, I found a 300 combat power Pharaoh yesterday, and combat power is like how strong the Pokemon is. If you feed it candies, you'll keep raising its Pokemon or its combat power. So I found a 300 level combat power Pharaoh yesterday, and I couldn't do anything about it. I kept throwing Pokeballs at it, and nothing. I couldn't catch it because I didn't have good enough Pokeballs, and I actually don't even know if there's anything higher than a Pokeball yet. I'm assuming there is. I don't know if there's Great Balls or Ultra Balls or anything like that, but because of that, I can't catch these Pokemon that I'm finding. And it kind of annoys me a little bit because there's no other way around it. And then I know they said they're trying to introduce player trading and player battling in a little bit, like that's going to be one of their first major updates, and I hope that goes well because right now the game is really cool, but I feel like if they don't add much more soon, the kind of fad for a lot of people is it's gonna fade, and they're not gonna be playing it as much. I think they need to really get the updates going. I know for me, it's really cool right now. I love running. I still find myself going out and actually trying to catch Pokemon, like not just on a normal walk. I will go walk typically just to do that, but I can see that fading soon unless they add more features.
I agree. I mean, again, the interaction with Pokemon is like the biggest thing. That's like one of the biggest
Exactly.
things that start from Red and Blue.
And the thing is, with like mobile phones, the interaction should be more than ever, you would think, because everyone has them, and it's cool. But I do. This is crazy to me. I am seeing so many people out now, just like in parks, running around doing this. Like I've never seen an app do, or like any game or anything like this, just do what Pokemon Go is doing. Everyone on my Facebook feed, people who don't even like follow video games at all, are posting about it. It's crazy. There's always people biking. I see on minimum like 15 people playing Pokemon Go on any like 5-10 minute walk. It's ridiculous to me. I think that is insane. It's cool.
Yeah, I agree. I ditto everything on what you said. I think that if they could keep this same momentum, like as far as like the reception, the response from everybody, because everybody in that we've seen probably on like a social media in the industry or otherwise talking about it and constantly playing it, and they get that steady usage from everybody. Like again, like everybody's constantly like logging onto the app and using it over time. Over like let's say like the next year, this could be like the first really big successful mobile app for Nintendo. This could possibly lead into other stuff. Because keep in mind, we also have other apps coming for Animal Crossing. We also have it also coming for Fire Emblem. Those could be like the next down the line. That could also be like something that could possibly borrow from something like Pokemon Go. And I feel like if this is successful, it could lead to other cool stuff.
Yep. It raised their stocks by 8.5%, if I'm not mistaken, which is absolutely insane, by the way. So at least financially, it was a success for them. So hopefully that will cause them to invest a lot more than they were initially planning on as well.
That is a possibility. So Gary, what do you think of all this? Because I know you are not able to play it yet because it is not out in the UK.
Yeah, which is annoying. So, firstly, I want to thank you guys for, that in-depth analysis on how the game works and everything, because, it might be a while before I actually get to try it out myself, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, let me first say that concept-wise, I think the idea of this is pretty amazing, especially the fact that, it encourages you to start going outside and playing as a community and stuff like that. But I just feel like there's people out there that are using this totally the wrong way. Like they're just going completely the wrong way with it. Like I've heard stories of people breaking into properties to catch a Pokemon. Of course, you've got people finding dead bodies and stuff, which isn't their fault particularly, but it's just crazy that it's happening. And yeah, I mean, there definitely needs to be some sort of regulations in place for this because sooner or later, some crazy stuff is going to go down because of this game. So yeah, it needs to be regulated a little bit, and they need to work on, making sure the Pokemon don't appear in places where they shouldn't be appearing and stuff like that. But yeah, I really like the idea of it so far. What do you think about it, Rich?
Well, I do agree that there possibly needs to be some regulations because I have heard about a lot of the crazy things that you discussed. But overall, I'm glad to see that it is a success thus far. I must admit, I am not particularly interested in trying the game, but I have to try it out and see whether or not it's something that I would continue playing. If they're continuing to support it, that's excellent because I believe that is going to play a major part in how long it is successful. The support is everything. So definitely, interested in trying it out now after hearing about what Max and JJ had to say.
Yeah, you know what really excites me about the concept as well? Like this is essentially like a real world MMO because what you guys were saying before with the events and stuff with people getting together in Times Square to catch like a Mewtwo or something like that. Like it reminds me of MMOs where there's certain events where it gets crowded and everybody's trying to work together for one specific goal. So it's like they're recreating that inside of an actual, alternate reality application, and that's exciting to me. Like I feel like the whole AR and VR thing is going to lead to a lot of great possibilities in the future. In
That's why I
terms of
feel like some of like what's going on with Pokemon Go now or whatever it's going to be updated with will bleed out into those other apps that Nintendo's putting out there with DNA. Especially, I look at this now and I think Animal Crossing is like the most likely candidate where you could start seeing stuff like that, because I think that if they could get that interaction, like what Max was saying, a little bit better, like there's more to do with other trainers and more and other people that have the app, especially if like there's large gatherings and large events that could get people together like that, you're going to see people really jump on this app. It's going to be one of those apps that's constantly used all the time.
Yeah, actually, to go off of that, one of the coolest things that I have seen so far that this app is doing is there's now this Facebook event that I think it was 20,000 people are now going to, if I remember correctly, and I plan on going to it too, is at the Bean in Chicago in Millennium Park. They're doing the first ever Pokemon Go gathering, and it says 20,000 people are going so far. I believe it's on the 17th of July, and I just think that's crazy. But also, yeah, what like kind of sucks about it is, yeah, everyone can be there catching Pokemon, but they can't really interact with each other within the game. Like, we're all interacting, being like, oh, look at this Pokemon, look at what we got, but there's nothing they could do with each other yet specifically, which is a shame, but it's still a really cool idea, and it's going to be cool to see all of these people there playing this game at this gathering.
Yeah,
Here's a question. Now, I was going to pose a question to all of you guys because I just thought about this. Because the game is so dependent on your GPS and because it's so location specific, especially for catching different types of Pokemon and whatnot, do you think like maybe they should also have some sort of way for people that aren't able to go to like that Chicago event or able to go to like New York City or something like that within their location, that they could connect to the internet and somehow be a part of that or of different events because they're not able to go out there for one reason or another?
Yeah, they better. I've actually been reading on Reddit in some of the more rural areas. People aren't able to do anything right now. Like, they don't even see Pokemon. They have 0 Pokestops around them. Like, this one guy I was reading, his closest one is like 10 miles away. And then he gets there, and even then there's no Pokemon or anything. He just has that one Pokestop. So that's something I'm sure that Niantic is aware about, and I'm sure they're trying to work. I would really hope that they're trying to work on that. I don't really know what they would do yet, unless they can somehow, like, you can teleport to these events, maybe, like, through the game for people who are really far away, like maybe if you qualify for a certain thing or something. But I don't know. Those people are complaining. They're not big fans of the game so far, understandably. So hopefully that gets worked out soon.
Yeah, I also remember reading an article saying that local businesses are actually like benefiting from it because like they're actually throwing local events where gatherings and stuff basically, and that's driving up their business. So like coffee shops and that sort of thing.
If there's a Pokestop at a Starbucks, it's over. I'm telling you right now. Like if that's not a thing, like that it will be soon. That's actually a great thing though.
Actually, one of our gyms, I work above a McDonald's, and one of the gyms is actually at our work. I think it's because of the McDonald's and not where I work, but I thought that's interesting. And I always see people standing outside it doing gym battles now whenever I go into work, which is cool.
That sounds awesome. Well, I mean, definitely, absolutely, positively, sounds like it's worth checking out. I will just say this one thing is that I know that the whole theme of Pokemon is you got to catch them all. So I would hope that at those community events, that if there is one Pokemon that is there, that there will not be any brawls of the people trying to get a hold to that Pokemon. But hey, I guess you just you gotta stay on your toes, stay alert. So I'll definitely check out the game at some point. Maybe I may download it today and see how it is, and I'll let people know what I think about it next week. So, any final words on Pokemon Go?
Well, I'm just waiting for it to launch over here so I could finally try it out for myself.
I'm confused why it wasn't a worldwide release like that. I find it weird
They
because
said
there
it
was
was
even a time
good.
where here in the States we didn't get it for some time, and I think it was like South America or somewhere else had it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
didn't
think
get it until like 7 p.m. the day that they said it was coming out. 7 p.m. my time.
I think it's a thing where they have to like gradually release it so that they can fix a lot of the issues and stuff because you're dealing with like real world stuff, I guess. So you have to kind
Yeah.
of gradually see what
Could
the
also be the
results are.
server issues, like
Yeah, there's
logging in.
been
I
some
know we had big
consistency.
server issues like at the very beginning. There was people that just couldn't get online because there were so many people jumping on at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yesterday
too.
I encountered one for a very short period, but it was the shortest one. It was literally probably 8 minutes. But other than that, they've had them for hours at a time.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, that's all I've really got to say about it though.
Yeah, let me check that out. So let's move on to the next topic. Um, we found out towards the end of this week that Adam Boyes, who I believe he worked with third party relations over at Sony, is going back into game development and has therefore left PlayStation. So, you guys have any brief words or thoughts on Adam and his career thus far?
Question: has anybody here besides myself met him in person when we went to E3?
I actually, well, no, I've seen him a couple of times. Always was with a group of other people, so I didn't really get a chance to go up and talk to him. But no, I haven't met him. I'm not sure if
Oh,
Gary has.
well, I don't think I would recognize him if I saw him, unfortunately. So
Okay,
Uh,
I don't
so
know.
So what I'll say is that I had the pleasure of meeting him not this year but last year at E3, like really briefly and stuff. I saw him after the PlayStation conference, and I saw him on the floor at the booth and such.
yeah.
Very cool guy, very knowledgeable, not only about PlayStation, about game development in general, just about the industry in of itself. I always make the joke because of how he looks physically, like he could bench press everybody in the room. Because it's just, I felt it was always funny because he does look like he could bench press like probably all of us here on the podcast, which is funny. But I think it's cool. It's interesting to see like with his knowledge and what he's gained at his time at PlayStation, how he's actually going to transfer that into like how any sort of game that he's a part of that he's helping develop or whatnot would actually turn out between both the way that the game is designed as well as also the marketing and the way that it's presented to the industry or presented to consumers and stuff. I think that'll be a very interesting thing to see play out down the line. Now I don't know what type of game he would actually make, now that he's heading into game development, or if he's going to join up with another company or going to go indie or whatnot like that. I know he's a big fan of first-person shooters because he used to play a lot of Destiny on PlayStation 4. So who knows? Maybe we might hear something really cool from him in the next like maybe 5-6 months.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. I know more and more people are just leaving to go back into game development lately. That seems to be more of a common thing. And I know, what's his name? Gears of War. Gears of War. What's the guy's name?
Cliffy B.
Cliff Bleszinski. Yeah, Cliffy B. He's just coming back into it with Lawbreakers, which looks really cool. And that seemed to when he left back after Gears 3. It seems that that kind of caused a lot more people to rethink what they were doing and maybe get back into game development as well. Even though he left, they were like, well, maybe this is an opportunity for me to try and do what I've always wanted to do. Because I can't, I mean, yeah, most people that are go into like the marketing teams and everything, they're not necessarily interested in the game development part, but more in video games and how they can advertise them. But I feel like more and more people are starting to get into it now because they want to get back into the game design. I think we're seeing a resurgence of people who are trying to get into game design specifically, especially nowadays with computers being bigger than ever and people needing to know how to, not needing to know, but learning how to like code, and with gaming being bigger than ever. That just seems to, there seems to be a little bit of a resurgence in that, if you ask me.
Sorry about that. Had an audio issue.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I will say this. As I've already said, I've. I mean, I know exactly what you're saying about a lot of people going back into game development. It is, I guess, it's a lot more that My guess is that Adam Boyes, he spent so much time getting a lot of these different games on the PlayStation platform that he had a few creative ideas that he wanted to explore. Because I believe anytime people send in requests for certain games they want, he worked hard to try to make that stuff happen. So my guess is that he thought, well, he has a few more ideas he wants to explore. That's why he decided it was time to jump back into game development. Now, I will say that I didn't even know he was in game development until that announcement, because I didn't know of any of the other games he worked on previously. So I was surprised about that. But definitely, hey, it's good. It's good for him. I look forward to seeing what he creates. I don't think there's any doubt about it that whatever he makes, it'll definitely be on PlayStation. You know, that'll be my guess. But Gary, you had some thoughts?
Not really. Like you, I wasn't aware that he actually had worked on games previously. So, I mean, good luck to him, really, is all I got to say. And, I'll look out for what he essentially makes. So that's really all I've got to say on it.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, like I said, just a few brief words on that, because still quite a bit more to learn about it. But I figure we'll hear more about it in the coming months. If he's working on something, maybe he'll definitely talk about it more. So stay tuned for that information. So let's go ahead and let's move on to the next topic. You wanted to discuss this, Gary. Uh, Sega has acquired Amplitude Studios, and you asked the question: could Sega become one of the powerhouse publishers again? Let me start by saying hell no, but continue, because I want to hear what everyone else thinks.
All right. Can everyone hear me? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so basically, like, I feel like it's like on the low, Sega has been building up a lot of power because for people who haven't been paying attention, they've actually acquired a lot of studios that have really big niche audiences. So, they have Amplitude, they have Focus Interactive, and they have Sports Interactive, the guys that make Football Manager. And so yeah, they've got a lot of big franchises, specifically like the RTS stuff. All those games do really well on the PC. Now, people don't pay attention, obviously, because they're really obscure PC titles that they don't really get a lot of shine on the mainstream. But I feel like this is in turn making Sega very powerful, and it's putting them in a position where they could actually acquire more studios, and they could start to become a big deal again. Like you might actually start to see Sega become comparable to Activision or EA or something like that. Like, because I feel like they're just slowly, gradually building up power again. And of course, they have Sonic, so they could always go back to that IP whenever they want to. They also have a lot of other IPs that they could go back to from the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive days. So I feel like it's important that we keep an eye on Sega because they are making moves out here. JJ, what do you think about that? I'm interested to see your
Well,
take on it.
here's the thing. I understand the logic, and it's rational, what the kind of like, comparisons that you're drawing there, and I think it makes sense to an extent. I don't think that it means a whole lot that Sega's going to really kind of boost up, not only in popularity, but also in amount of resources they could do with the types of games they release. I've never really heard of the Endless, was it the series that, what is it, Amplitude Studios is known for until now, until this news came out and stuff. I think also, we're also forgetting that Sega also has a hand with Atlas right now, because
Oh
remember
yeah,
they
yeah,
acquired
that
Atlas some
too.
time
Yeah.
ago, and, and keep in mind Persona 5 is still developed by Atlas essentially, but it's going to have a Sega logo on it, that's being published by Sega, and I think that's cool. I think right now, Sega right now is kind of like in a weird place because a lot of people are still down over the last like few Sonic games
Yeah.
that have come out, and there's been other games like, I mean, they've had some good ones, especially re-releases with like Valkyria Chronicles, which you could find on our review on the site, by the way, guys. But I don't think like this type of move is that much of a big deal. It'll be a bigger deal after, or at least it'll be a bigger deal when they acquire a studio after another game that's released, or they're getting their hands on a big IP that they can finally publish, kind of like with Persona. But then again, it's developed in-house at Sega. So I understand your logic, but I don't think it's as big of a deal as you're making it out to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal at the moment, but I believe it's going to manifest into a big deal in the future. I feel like they're going to make one big power move that has us paying attention to Sega again in a way that we haven't been in a while. So I feel like they're kind of building towards that at the moment.
It's also interesting because I'm just looking at what they publish right now. They published the really popular Total War series, and I know they just released the Warhammer version of that, which I know I'm sure that has boosted people's opinion of them a little bit, even though the Sonic games are not doing such a great job with that. But they do have some really cool games already, like the Dawn of War series, the Warhammer series, and like you guys were saying, Persona. That'll be interesting for them because Persona has a really big following. It like has more of a cult following, but it's a pretty big cult following.
It's a big deal in Japan. It's really what it is.
Yeah, that's true. And I've always been interested in them. I want to try them. And because of Sega owning them, I'm sure that Persona 5 could be that much better with that backing. So that makes me want to try it more.
Yeah, also something I'm hoping for as well is because I watched a video the other day about like the history of one of my favorite video game IPs, and I know JJ is a big fan as well. Streets of Rage. I read like well, I didn't read, I watched like a little documentary of like the history of the game and everything, and they've actually tried to bring that back a few times, and it's like kind of just fallen apart and stuff. And I think there was a time recently, it was like a few years back, around like 2000, I want to say 2012 or something, when they tried Lost, and there was actually like leaked footage of how the game would look and stuff. So I feel like that I'm still hanging on to hope that they might actually acquire a studio that will make another Streets of Rage game for them.
That's a good point, because keep in mind, it's not just Streets of Rage. There's other IPs that Sega has at their well that have just been dormant for many years. So maybe getting all these other little studios would be a good idea, maybe to kind of test the waters with one of them with a different type of franchise that hasn't been around for a while as a reboot. And again, like you mentioned, they've done that with Streets of Rage and other IPs that have been kind of mostly misses than they have been hits. But also keep in mind, Sega, at least a couple of the people that representatives over there, have talked about making Sonic into like an entertainment icon as much as he is a video game icon or a video game mascot. Branching out into movies and doing all these other things. Keep in mind, they still also have that I think it's Archie Comics that they have that deal with, where they publish the Sonic the Hedgehog comics that have been around for like the longest time now. So maybe that could also be a big deal, allowing them to get the resources to do more kind of moves and more types of things like that down the line, maybe in the next couple of years or so.
Yeah, I know that Sonic Boom TV show they released with the game. I know the show was doing better than the game. Apparently the show isn't that bad, and I know the comics do pretty well. So entertainment-wise, aside from the games, I'm sure that they have a decent footing to step off on and really make that into its own thing, like with movies and such. I think that'd be interesting to see a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, assuming they don't fuck it up.
Yeah, and Max, we was actually discussing this before the show. Like, they announced that there's a new Sonic game coming next year. Like, how do you feel about that? Because they said that they're gonna actually put a lot of effort into it and make sure that it's, it pleases the audience and stuff. Do you actually feel like that might happen, and we might finally get a good Sonic game?
I've been hoping for it, but I believe this is the fourth time they have said, oh, we're really going to try and make this a great game and listen to our fans in the past, 2 years. They said that with Sonic Boom, and we all know how that turned out. So, I mean, I want this to be a great Sonic game. I really do, but I'm having a very hard time believing them. First impressions so far haven't been the greatest from what I have heard. I know that some people got to try it a little bit, but they weren't able to say much about it. And then there's also that 3DS game coming out, which is like a sequel to Sonic Boom, which they're saying is okay.
We saw that at E3. Sonic Boom.
How's that looking?
I didn't get any hands-on time with it. I know some people that did, and they said like it's kind of okay. Like it's a little bit better than the previous game. For first impression, just looking at people play, it does not look that great to me.
Yep. Yeah, I saw some gameplay on that. It doesn't look that great to me either. I can just only hope that this next game will finally be the one to bring Sonic back. Like, I still play Sonic Adventure 2, I play Sonic CD and all that, and it just makes me miss like any new Sonic games can't bring that back. Like Sonic Generations was fun. I played the shit out of Sonic Generations, but it was still lacking something. It was a step in the right direction, and then they went and did Sonic Boom, and all that was lost, and I'm just kind of mad at them now.
Well, I will say this. You'll hear more about that Sonic game because I believe that they're going to be talking about that later this month. Um,
Oh, really?
there's
Didn't know
supposed to
that.
be
For the anniversary, I think it is, right? I think there's
yeah,
some big Sonic
Yeah.
celebration coming up.
that's exactly what it is, and they did say they're going to reveal more details about what this new game is. So you'll know whether or not to be disappointed before this
Yeah.
month is over. I think.
God, I hope they don't screw it up.
But I will say this. Like I said, I forgot that Sega. When you said you guys had said Sega acquired all these studios. I didn't realize that they acquired the studios. I thought they was working together. So yeah, to know that Atlas and Creative Assembly, I believe those are the guys that worked on the Total War series.
By the way, Rich, they're publishing Persona. They're publishing KOF. Okay, Sonic.
Oh, okay.
There's a bunch of that. Basically, a lot of the stuff that you saw at the Atlas booth at E3, that's going to have a Sega logo on it.
Ah, okay. All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, hey, listen. I think that I'm not. I still don't believe that they will become a powerhouse a publisher again, but I do believe that they are definitely doing better than they would be doing if they weren't involved with any of these other studios. So that's fine. I don't want to see Sega die or anything like that. So if they have to have these little partnerships or these little acquisitions to stay relevant, then I would prefer that. I don't want to see the company die. Still don't have faith that they can make a good Sonic game anymore, but I like to at least say, well, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and maybe they can do other things, because having their names attached to these other properties is that's still pretty good in my book. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. You guys have any additional things you want to add, or could we move on to the next topic?
No, I'm good.
That was really all I wanted to say. I definitely want to hear more opinions as well, people in the comments and stuff. So make sure you guys comment and let me know your thoughts on that. I also I asked this question as well earlier in the week in our exclusive Facebook VIP group.
Oh.
So
Yeah, I saw what you did there with that little plug. That was interesting. Yes.
You guys know what to do if you want to get in that group.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. So the next question, you also asked this question. You asked, well, Bioshock the collection has been made official. I believe that this was official, but we didn't really discuss it because it happened at a weird time in between when we did the last podcast. So you asked the question, will we be buying it? So let me go ahead and answer that question first. Now, as I've said many times on this show, yeah, Bioshock, the original Bioshock, that was what got me to get the Xbox 360. That was one of the first games, and then Gears of War was another game. But that was, without a doubt, the first game. So will I be buying the remastered version just so I can play it on the Xbox One or PlayStation 4? That's a hell no. So how about you, guys? How about you go first, Gary?
Well, I'm incredibly biased on this because I own a PC, a gaming PC, and I own all three of the Bioshock games already. And I believe that I actually already own this Ultimate Collection. So whether they remaster it or if they say, oh, it's a remastered version or whatever, my version's already remastered. Thank you very much. So, yeah,
I'm of that exact opinion.
Yeah.
I'm all
That's
set.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
To be honest with you guys, totally honest. I mean, I'm not gonna buy it because I don't like Bioshock. I like you guys. I have the other collections on PlayStation 3, and I have Bioshock Infinite as well. And I was one of the people that bought the season pass with Bioshock Infinite, even though I regret it and such.
Yeah.
I think the only real reason that, besides being a diehard Bioshock fan, that you would get this collection now, like on PlayStation 4 and stuff, is because they made like little tweaks to it here and there. I know that Bioshock 2 is not going to have the multiplayer. Like, it's still strictly going to be just the single player campaign. Like that, kind of like along in line with both Bioshock 1 and Bioshock Infinite. But I think this is something that you could pick up much later on. I think that everybody, if you like the Bioshock series and you just want another excuse to play through it again without having to pull out your PlayStation 3, you should get this maybe like in the next couple of months, or at least a couple months after it's released, I should say, because then it'll go down in price. There's a lot of other bigger games and more important games coming out soon, if not out already, that you could be getting for your PlayStation 4 or your Xbox One that are brand new experiences. So I don't think anybody needs to drop the $40 on this. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be full retail price. I don't think it's going to be a $60 game. But I don't think you need to drop that money on it now, or at least when it comes out on release, when there's so many other like newer experiences that you could play through on your consoles.
Yeah, I also think it's worth noting that this game is coming out in September, and there's a lot of other games coming out in September.
Nope. That's a big nope.
There's one. Yep, that game especially. Final Fantasy 15 will be out.
Yes.
You got Forza coming out. You have, of course, FIFA, which is a game that everybody buys. And then you got Recore coming out the exact same day as this. So no, I think I'll get Recore instead of Bioshock Collection.
Yeah.
But
also interesting for Bioshock, just a quick side note. Apparently PC users, I just saw this right now after looking at it, PC users will get the first and second game remastered for free already, I guess, even though that I feel like that won't do much for us. But yeah, so I guess we're getting them anyways, but not Infinite, because according to them that is already mastered enough.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. So are you planning on getting this collection, Max?
No, I have no need for it. I have Infinite on both Xbox and PC. I have Bioshock 1 on the 360, but I played it through a few times and I loved it, but I don't need to go back to it right now. For people who haven't played it, definitely get it. Like, this collection is great value, amazing collection, but for those who have played it already, I just don't really see I don't think it's worth getting if you've already played them.
Agree 100%. The game definitely is worth playing for those who haven't played it, but no, I wouldn't say if you've already played it. Yeah, there's plenty more to play. I'm pretty sure 2K is doing this because there probably is another Bioshock game in development that you're going to hear about maybe next year or the year after next. Whether or not that game will actually be of the same quality as this game, I heavily doubt it if Levine is not involved with the game, but I don't know yet because I don't know anything pertaining to whatever the next game is in the series. But yeah.
Also, didn't they dissolve Irrational? Isn't Irrational like gone now?
Yeah, I do believe that they are gone. I know
they're still working on games. Bioshock, they are. 2K is still working on Bioshock, but I don't know.
Yeah, 2K is working on Bioshock. No, not really sure who they have in particular that's working on it. Which studio is working on it? But I guess we'll find out more about that soon.
I tell you, it's not the Vita game. You could definitely count that one out.
Oh no, it's a done deal. Game over.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. But I also think that if perhaps, if this game was coming out before September, then more people would actually try it out because again, it's coming out at such a bad time. This could have been a summer game easily, and somebody could have played it. There's nothing else to play right now, but no, they said September. So obviously, not thinking too smart about the decision to release it in September. But
nope. Yeah, September is always the start of like the games rush for every year. Like releasing September is always like that first year. Like last year was like Rare Replay for Xbox gamers, and that was just the start,
Exactly.
That's always what it is. It's like, all right, here's something pretty cool to tide you over until our top games. And Infinite is not one of those things, or the Bioshock collection for people who have played it, and the majority of gamers I feel like have played it. That's not the type of game that will tide them over necessarily, unless they really want to replay it. But again, new players definitely get it.
Exactly. So we'll see about that. Yeah. Any final words, Gary? JJ, you all set?
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to say, JJ actually told me that the only collection he's looking forward to releasing on PS4 is the Final Fantasy 13 series.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Gonna be
That is
waiting a long
definitely
time
not
for that
something
one.
I'm looking
They don't have any time to make that happen. So
But the only final thing I'll say about Bioshock, though, is that for me, now at this point, especially this year into next year or whatnot, there's no reason to get that collection now, unless you really want to play through Bioshock again. It's just I feel like everybody could wait on it. So
Yeah.
there's better games coming out.
yeah, way too many other things. It's way too many other games coming out, especially September. So and in August as well. August is a couple of things coming out as well. So yeah, I wouldn't say unless it's coming out tomorrow, as in this upcoming week, then yeah, I would say yeah, go ahead and pick it up. But otherwise, no, you can wait on this. But that's it for that. All right, so let's go on to the final topic of today's show. This is a topic that Gary said, oh, we absolutely, positively must address this because I feel like it got lost in the shuffle, even though it's not really, it shouldn't have gotten lost. It just happened a couple of days ago.
I said that? Oh, okay. I didn't remember.
Yes. Yeah. So, if for those who are unaware, Red Dead Redemption is now backwards compatible on Xbox One. Now, I understand that last week they announced that this game was coming out on this Friday. As soon as they announced that, Amazon price sales for this game increased. On top of that, and just to add more fuel to that fire, I went to a couple of stores looking for Red Dead Redemption, didn't have it in stock. So, of course, all of this is made possible by the Xbox One backwards compatibility. And one thing I will also say is Friday night, when this came out on Friday, I decided to go on my Xbox, looked on a couple of different things. I see a couple of Twitch streams, 200-300 people watching somebody playing this game. So I thought that was interesting. I thought that was very interesting. So the question that we wanted to pose is, does a release like this show that the Xbox One backwards compatibility program has value? Because in my opinion, it does now, because I didn't hear anybody, a lot of people was hyped for this game. And I asked Gary the other day, well, aren't you able to play this game on PlayStation Now or PlayStation 4 now? He said yeah, but nobody's playing that. So let's
nobody's using PlayStation Now, man.
I was just gonna say that, Gary. You beat me to the punch.
Okay, well, go ahead. Okay, so go ahead, JJ. You can start this discussion off.
I was gonna say, that's a totally different thing because nobody's really using PlayStation Now, or nobody really cares about PlayStation Now. Backwards compatibility is a totally different type of thing than what Sony was doing with PlayStation Now. That spawned from the whole thing when they acquired Gaikai and stuff, and they even didn't really implement it, really into PSN like that afterwards. But with this one, I think it's because it's Red Dead and because there's hype around a new Red Dead game coming out. That's why so many people have kind of sparked interest in it, and that's why Microsoft is having this backwards compatibility with this game on Xbox One. That makes more sense for something happening in the context of now. I think that for some games it does make a lot of sense, especially on Xbox One when you have a lot of good games, on the Xbox 360 that just didn't make the jump over to the Xbox One as far as being available on Xbox Live Arcade and stuff. And I think there's a time and place for that, but I don't think you're going to really see a huge boom of other games that were from that previous generation getting released now again on this current generation or on the next generation, because again, context I feel like is important. I think that because we're getting a new Red Dead game, this was the perfect time to do this, and it's going to make a decent amount of money, or at least it's going to generate enough interest for when that next Red Dead game does release eventually, or when they finally reveal it to the world.
This is true. Absolutely agreed. You have any thoughts, Max?
Oh yeah, I thought it was interesting that Red Dead, when they released it, the sales went up 6,000%. That's absolutely insane. And not that Rockstar needs that money. Obviously, it helps them, but they're not in any position to need the money. But the thing is, with backwards compatibility, when they first announced it, I was just kind of like, okay, that's cool for some gamers. But now that they're doing games with gold with it, they're including a lot of games with gold every month with backwards compatibility. That has caused me to use it more. And what was I going to say? Oh, with the whole PlayStation Now thing, I commend Sony for kind of wanting to go into the future because that streams games, correct? If I'm not mistaken, PlayStation Now streams the older games, right?
Wait,
Anyone know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a streaming service. It's not necessarily where you're downloading them and then just playing like that. You're actually
yeah,
streaming games.
and that's a cool idea. I just think they went about it the wrong way. Because I think that if they had made it not necessarily free, but it's like a $10 monthly fee or something. You have to pay a monthly fee that,
No,
from what
it's
I know,
more
is
than
It's
like
absurd.
more. It's way more
Yeah,
than that.
as on top of paying for PSN every month, I don't know
Yeah.
why they thought that was a good idea. I don't know where that came from at all. But no, I think backwards compatibility, like Jake was saying, it's crazy that this game is still this popular. I would have never have guessed that it would have been this big in regards to backwards compatibility. And yeah, he's right in regards to the context that most other games wouldn't have done this. And I don't think any other game will honestly top this in this generation. I don't think any other game will make a bigger shift in the backwards compatibility movement.
I think it's because it's Rockstar, and I think it's because it's
Yeah.
Red Dead, really, because Rockstar doesn't really release games all that frequently. When they do, it's like a major event. Like it's a very big deal. So outside of the fact that we're gonna get a new Rockstar game and whatnot, everybody really liked Red Dead Redemption. Like that was a really big deal when that game came out back in the day, especially with its DLC with Undead Nightmare, which in of itself was kind of treated like its own separate game at the time. I feel like it was that brand. Again, it's the developer behind it of why we're getting such like a big response for some people.
that's true. 100% accurate. So Gary, how about your thoughts?
Yeah, this is one of the best moves that Microsoft has made this generation.
Uh-oh.
I
Uh-oh.
feel because if you gotta look at it, if the Xbox One would have released with backwards compatibility, we wouldn't be having this moment right now because it would be an old thing. Like it would have released and people would have been like, okay, yeah, cool, I can play my old games, and people would have already been playing Red Dead. But now because of what they did last year when they announced that they were adding it to the system and that games would be added gradually as the publishers see fit, that actually creates this fanfare that we're seeing now when a game is actually added to the service. So now, we all know that there's a new Red Dead coming. So now the publisher can be like, oh, we're going to make this game available now on your platform because, people haven't played it in years probably, and they might want to play it again, or new people might want to have access to it who haven't played the game originally when it first came out. So now you have this moment now where the game is actually getting a lot of shine, a lot of attention again. And you wouldn't have had that if the console just launched with backwards compatibility. And then you got to look at Sony as well, because this is a great move against Sony because they're stuck with this PlayStation Now service that they built, and it's an extra fee for us to pay to get access to these games, and nobody's going to do that. It doesn't seem worth it to pay that money. I think the best thing Sony could have did at E3 was announce that PlayStation Now was going to be part of PlayStation Plus,
Uh-oh.
because that's the only way
That'll
they
never
can.
happen. I'll tell you right now. It'll never
Yeah,
happen.
I don't
It,
think that'll ever happen
it
either.
probably
No,
won't
it'll never
happen,
happen.
but
There's too many logistics. There's too much licensing stuff with it, and then having that big of a catalog available to PS Plus users, as much as it sounds good for us, business-wise, that sounds like a nightmare. And also, it seems like they're leaving a lot of money on the table by being able to re-release older games, kind of like what they did with some of the PS2 classics, again, so people could buy them again because of trophy support. Like, it feels like they'd just be leaving money on the table like that, so you'll never see them do a move like that ever.
yeah, well, I mean, now it's just, with how it's set up now, they're just getting their asses kicked when it comes to, the whole backwards compatibility thing. Like, that's a whole another revenue stream that they're just missing out on now because people know that they can get it on Xbox, and you're only going to get big moments like this on the Xbox now. So it was a very good move for Microsoft, and this shows the value of that service. The fact that, you know, we can get together as a community now, a community of gamers, and discuss why this game was so great back in the day. Like, it makes us reminisce and remember these old games.
I also thought it was pretty interesting that since the backwards compatibility came out, they always had a list where people would vote on like what game they wanted next, and Red Dead was always really high up there, if not number one. And I see now why they were waiting so long to actually do it, because of the timing and optimizing it for when we are waiting for Red Dead 2. Now all the interest is back up, and now people are getting it again. Because it obviously would have done well no matter what, but this was like the peak time for them to actually release this backwards compatibility for this specific game.
That's true. I also like to add one other thing. You already touched on this, Max. How the backwards compatibility, of course, if you have Xbox Live Gold, you can also use that with whatever games come out each month, which is a plus. But the other bonus to the backwards compatibility is the simple fact that I do like when Microsoft does these programs where if you pre-order a game, you get the additional backwards compatibility versions as well. They did that with Fallout 4, where if you pre-order Fallout 4, you got Fallout 3. And for someone who hasn't played some of these games, because I know I didn't play Fallout 3, but I was all over that deal when they announced that. I'm pretty sure they're going to do it for Mafia 3 as well later this year, and I know that they're doing it for Gears of War because they already said if you do pre-order the game, you'll get access to all the games in the series, including the new game. So that, to me, is a big deal because it can't simply be overlooked, because definitely adds more value for someone who, if they never played any of these other games in the series, they have a chance to play them all now. So.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. I know that my one of my friends wasn't able to play Fallout 3 and was able to do that exact thing, actually. I forgot to redeem my Fallout 3 code. I hate it. I hate that I forgot to redeem it, but oh well.
What is it? Is it expired now?
I believe so, yeah. I think it was July 1st or something. I mean, I've played Fallout 3 and I own it, so it doesn't really matter, but it would have just been funny to do that, but I just completely forgot to.
You always got New Vegas and you got Fallout 4 now. I mean, those games
Yeah.
are just as big. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
it's a really good thing, man. It's a good way to relive old games, I think.
So yeah. So Gary, did you say that you wanted to mention one other thing about this particular topic? The fact that we've already acknowledged that Microsoft, they are not really concerned about trying to catch up with Sony. They will not be able to catch up with Sony, but they have done some great things so far this generation to sort of repair a lot of the damage that was done in the beginning. The backwards compatibility was one thing. Did you have another thing you wanted to mention that you thought they did that was positive?
Is there something specific that you're talking about? I mean, the other thing that comes to mind is obviously the Windows stuff that they're doing. I can't remember if I've said something else that I was going to mention to you.
That's more so an open question. Everybody can answer that question if they think it's anything. I was going to add that, now, to me, it feels like this is the year where there's quite a bit of Sony games coming out. A lot of the Sony exclusives. They had exclusives in the past, but Andrew House has said himself that they were sparse in the past, in the last couple of years. But to me, it feels like when Microsoft brought out the Xbox One, they brought out a whole bunch of games in the very beginning. It was no doubt about it. They had a pretty good lineup of games. Now, you can say that a lot of those games came out in the holiday season, and therefore it's like, well, whatever. But the fact is, I think they had a much bigger lineup in the very beginning. Now, Sony is at a place where they are pretty much everyone knew that they were already going to have more games on their platform. But I just think that have to acknowledge Microsoft did start with pretty good releases, and I think that was at least one good thing. I do think that also with Phil Spencer in charge, uh,
Yeah.
he's done a great job as far as trying to repair the image of the company. Obviously, it's not all perfect because they still have a lot of issues. They still confuse consumers by announcing two consoles at E3. But with that said, overall, I think they are trying to make an effort to offer more different experiences. You know, you got Recore, you got Scalebound. These are games that you would not have seen otherwise if they didn't want to try and do new things on the system outside of Gears and Halo. So I think you definitely have to acknowledge that. But no,
Yeah, I think, Phil Spencer, he's been great for the Xbox brand, and he's really turned things around in a great way. And I feel like, there's obviously there's not much of a chance that the Xbox One is going to catch up with the PS4 in terms of sales. But
yeah,
I do think they're setting themselves up nicely for the long term, to be, a very powerful and valuable brand within gaming. And I think, that might lead to them ultimately winning the long race. Who knows? Um, yeah, I mean, I could say more, but I don't want to create too much controversy right now. So,
oh,
so I'll,
controversy.
I'll hold on to that till next week.
Oh, there's no
Fair enough.
controversy. There's no controversy. But you guys have anything else you would like to add, Max and JJ?
Mm. Well, I just think it's interesting that after this E3, Microsoft said this was going to be like one of their biggest and best E3s ever, and I just found it kind of underwhelming. I found all of E3 this year to be pretty underwhelming, to be completely honest. But I just thought Microsoft saying that was interesting, and now they went. Did you guys see the news yesterday that they apparently went back on their Xbox Play Anywhere?
Yeah,
Yes,
that
I
was
did
that
think
was
that.
true like a little bit more than yesterday though. Like they kind of clarified that all the games that were shown at E3 are the ones that are going to be played everywhere, not everything that's in the catalog.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
one thing about that particular thing is that there are a lot of that not just that, but there's a lot of games where it's not necessarily going to be you know cross play because I know when I saw Halo Wars 2 at E3 and they had the little meeting room, the guy straight up told us, you will not be able to play this with PC players. Will only be able to play with PC players, and the console guys will only be able to play with console guys. So there's quite a bit of stuff that has to be clarified about
It's
how
a
this all is
logistical
going.
thing. I
Yeah,
feel like I think
Yeah.
it's them giving them an out, really, to be honest with you, and it makes sense because they don't want people getting the wrong perception of it by such a generalized statement.
Yeah, I
but
think
yeah,
What they could do is clarify.
in the case of Halo Wars, I think it makes sense because a similar thing happened with Overwatch, where because Blizzard said that they were considering crossplay, but it just because of the different ways that the PC gamers play versus the console play, it would be hard to balance.
hmm
So I feel like it might be a case of that in terms of Halo Wars specifically, because keyboard and mouse and everything. Keyboard and mouse is always more precise
Yeah.
in these types of games.
yeah. Well, it's funny because that's the exact words he said. That's the exact words he said in the presentation. The
Yeah.
keyboard and mouse
I
is
think
more
there's more to it
precise.
though. To be honest with you, I feel like there's more to it because keep in mind, let's not forget that also Street Fighter V. Granted, it's a different type of genre, it's a different type of game at its core. Street
hmm
Fighter V had the crossplay between PlayStation 4 and PC players, and there was a lot of connection issues that a lot of people experienced during that launch week, especially even now to this day, where people still have problems between the two platforms competing against each other, or at least players on different platforms competing against each other. And I think you open yourself up to a lot of other problems that might start to pop up, especially in like a first-person shooter environment or an RTS
Yeah,
environment
yeah.
regarding cheating, as well as also just the ease of use in the play. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it would kind of like open themselves to a lot of like technical and logistical problems if that was to be the case. So I feel like they're kind of not really dodging a bullet, but just kind of avoiding it.
Well, you guys know Rocket League, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rocket League actually, they did PS4 and PC crossplay like since it came out on PS4, and then just recently introduced the Xbox One crossplay. And from what I've heard, it seems to work really, really well. Like I played on PC, and I'm with PS4 players a lot of the time. And actually, I've never really had connection issues in regards to that. That were because of the crossplay. The only connection issues I have had have been like just general server issues. So I think it can be done well. They just have to find out how to do it.
I also think it's the difference in the communities too. Because keep in
Yeah.
mind, people that are playing Rocket League are probably people that are into sports games, or at least into driving games, or something similar of the sort. And I feel like you get a much more diverse and larger pool of players on the PC environment, or at least the first-person shooter environment, the RTS
Yeah.
environment. There's a lot more different types of people that are playing these types of games. And with larger groups of people, you sometimes get also larger groups of people that are either cheating or doing one thing or another. So
Yeah.
maybe that's just a difference in the pools of people that are playing those types of games.
That's true. I mean, I do know Rocket League attracts a ridiculous amount of people who aren't into like racing games and sports games are my two least played games, but Rocket League is still one of my favorite games. Like I don't know what it is, but something about it hooked me on it. Like yeah, I agree that I bet a large amount of the community are more into those two types of genres, but I know there is a significant chunk that is just normal gamers as well into kind of everything.
Yeah. Well, no, that makes sense. But yeah, as far as the backtracking of the words, well, Microsoft needs to they got to watch it. They got to watch it with that. They have a reputation of backtracking on a lot of things, so they need to be very careful with their
Yes,
words. Because that's not going to be good. You don't want people to keep referring to you as these type of guys. But I mean, to me, I think that was said because they don't necessarily want you to just think like Xbox has. Well, I don't know. They don't want you to think that therefore because it's Xbox and PC, you don't have to buy any games on the Xbox One. But I mean, I don't know because I just don't know what they just have to get their messaging correct because to me it's still off. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this topic before we wrap up the show?
No, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
good.
good.
Yeah, Gary's good too. All right, well, this concludes our episode for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Is there any final words that have to be said? How about you go first, Gary?
First of all, I want to shout out Turtle Beach for sending me their new Elite Pro Tournament Edition headset, complete with the tactical audio controller and the noise cancelling microphone. So shouts to you guys. Look out for a review of this equipment sometime in the future on the website. Besides that, just shouts to everybody who continues to listen and support the coalition. You guys make this worth it, every week. So thank you to all the listeners. Shouts to M. Collins, of course, and Gority for supporting us on Patreon. We're also actually working on a lot of exclusive content that we're going to be dropping on the Patreon in the future. So stay tuned because we'll probably have some announcements, hopefully soon. But something me and Rich have to work on for the time being. So yeah, look out for that. That's it really.
Absolutely. How about you, Mr. Lugo?
Yeah, ditto a lot of stuff what Gary said. Shout out to everybody listening to the show now, whether you're listening to it live or you're listening to it afterwards on the site, or whatnot, or on the YouTube channel. Thank you for at least giving us your time, allowing us to talk about games. Give you some enjoyment about the discussion of games in the industry and such. Shout out to all the patrons out there that are supporting us on Patreon. Again, like Gary said, we got some stuff in the works for you that you guys are going to look forward to. All your time and money is definitely going to be put to good use. So we're going to have a lot of cool stuff for all of you guys to check out. Shout out to everybody checking out the site and leaving comments. If you haven't known already, we have a bunch of new reviews up on the site now, including some stuff that I've done. I did the review for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Eyes of Heaven. Also, I did it for Pac-Man 256, which is a great game. And also, arguably, in my opinion, the worst game of the year thus far, Umbrella Corps. Definitely check out all those reviews as well as all the other reviews that we have up on the site now. We also have ones for Mighty Number 9, I believe, and we have a couple others that just went up not too long ago. I got my review going up tomorrow for God Eater. Definitely look forward to that. And again, keep coming back and checking out all the new content we got here, leaving us comments, sending us feedback on Twitter, Facebook, on YouTube as well, YouTube comment section. We're always looking, we're always reading, and we're always listening. So thank you very, very much.
Sounds good. And I especially like that Umbrella Corps you had to mention in the beginning, the one of the worst games of the year. So
That is definitively the worst. I am telling you, I don't think we will ever get a worse game this year that's as bad as that, unless something else comes up. And I know a lot of people were down about Mighty Number 9, but Umbrella Corps is the worst game of 2016, hands down.
yes, fair enough. So how about you, Max? Any final words, shout outs?
Well, I just wanted to say thanks so much for having me on the show. This is a really cool opportunity. This is awesome. This is something I've always wanted to do, and it was really cool to be a part of, and I really look forward to working with you guys and seeing what the future holds.
Welcome. We appreciate it, son.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, absolutely welcome. And yes, we do look forward to working with you as well. And as for my final shout outs, yes, I want to give a shout out to all of you guys for being on the show. For those that have been watching, we do appreciate the support. And let me go ahead and just say this. I would like to extend my condolences to everyone affected by what has gone on this week. You know, you may think because we're a gaming podcast, we don't really see or want to address any of this type of stuff. But I actually live in the South right now. There's been quite a bit of stuff going on here as of late because of what's going on. So I felt like absolutely needed to say something about that. And I do want to extend my condolences to everybody affected. In my opinion, all lives matter. So I don't like to hear when anybody gets killed for any reason whatsoever. But I would just like to hope that things are going to start to change over time. For those, I like to encourage those that whether they don't like somebody or for whatever reason, try to not do any harm to that person, because violence is not the answer for anything, period. You know, but just wanted to say that because yeah, there's quite a bit of things that have been going on with that as of late. Well, I hope everybody is doing well, has a safe week ahead. We'll talk to you guys next week.